Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and today we are looking at the Mugello Grand Prix, which has just finished about 10 minutes ago or so. There's a lot to discuss, there's a lot of incidents to look at, but before we begin I just want to say this is a good time to subscribe to the channel. Every day next week there will be a video, as it is Le Mans week, so we're going to have 6 Le Mans themed videos next week, one the week after, but there will be 7 Le Mans videos in total. So make sure you subscribe and check back every day next week for that. It's the most I've ever worked on this channel in one period of time. So I'm going to keep this brief. So with that said, let's begin.
Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
Where do we start? I guess with the first incident on the first lap. So we lost Verstappen straight away, and that's a problem because it means no one's going to challenge the Mercedes for the whole race. As it turned out, he was also joined by Gasly, so we celebrate his win the week after with him out at the second corner. Grosjean and Raikkonen very lucky to get away with that because there's a big contact. So Gasly, he was at most to blame, but it wasn't his fault. He was in a gap where there was no space to be, and a lot of contact. Sainz and Vettel, they collided as well. I think Sainz was spun by one of the racing points, and Vettel just collected him on his way through. Big shame, but we had a safety car for about 8 laps. Bottas, who was in the lead, he took Hamilton at the first corner. That was as good as his race got, and it was kind of downhill all the way from there. The second incident, Bottas was leading the field. He slowed him down just as the race was about to restart. I guess some drivers at the back didn't see it, and it was Magnussen, I think, running into the back of Latifi, Sainz, and there's another one, Giovinazzi. They all got involved. It's 4 more cars out. So we haven't even had a full racing lap. We've already lost 6 cars. Who was to blame for that one? That's just a mistake. It's hard to see. I mean, whoever slowed down the most, I guess. So, whilst the red flags are out, the cars are in the pit lane. Esteban Ocon retires with brake problems, so we're down to 13. But after the restart, it's business as usual. Hamilton's blows around Bottas without even looking. Like, he didn't know Bottas was there. He doesn't even know Bottas exists. He just drives and he seems to win all the time. Leclerc, the Ferrari wasn't quick enough, so he dropped back down from 3rd. Ricciardo was going really well. I honestly thought, well, Ricciardo's got this podium sewn up. Even more so later on. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Stroll then crashed. The 3rd safety car and the 2nd red flag. And it was a shame because Stroll was doing well and he's doing well in the points, but this will hurt him, I think, because he was doing well to be in 4th in the championship before this race. I don't know if that's the case now. I think he would have dropped back a little bit. And Perez scored decent points as well, so it's going to close the gap up between them. Anyway, after the restart, Ricciardo got past Bottas up to 2nd, and any chance of there being any kind of race was over. Russell dropped down out of the points as well, which was a shame. Bottas did get back up to 2nd, but there's no point. He's not going to chase Hamilton down. It was over. Albon finally moved up to 3rd. When that happened, I did kind of expect Hamilton to drop back to take him back out. But for some reason, Hamilton actually decided not to hit Albon this race. I mean, this was the most boring result to end an exciting race, I think. Because it was the most obvious. Hamilton's just going to win from Bottas. That's the standard unless something happens. Albon, I'm very happy he got his first podium. I think this was the best week he could have done to get it. Really starts to show that he should be there. Makes Red Bull's job tougher to choose between him and Gasly. Gasly may have won a race, but there were circumstances as to why Albon deserved this podium. He's deserved it for a while. Ricciardo, doing a good job. I think Renault, they look good. They have improved. So by the time they're Alpine, they might show a little something next year. And then there's Perez and Norris both doing good jobs. Kvyat, again, maybe showing he is worth keeping. I did honestly think 12 cars left on the grid and Kvyat is still there, so there's potential for more damage. But no, he finished 7th. Raikkonen actually finished 8th, but dropped back with a penalty, but only lost 1 place to Leclerc. So Ferrari again, 8th and 10th, pretty disastrous, with Russell and Grosjean the last 2 finishers. I think team by team rundown I'll do again, because I think that's the easiest way. Williams, they look good at this race. I think Russell really deserved to finish in the points, and it just didn't happen for him. It's just that the third start, that got him. Otherwise, he would have been in 9th place. So Williams have improved. Latifi was doing quite well before the first red flag. So Williams are definitely on the rise. No runners. Nice to see where they go. Haas, it's the same story as the rest of this year. They look terrible. They are slow. They're always at the back of the field. The best thing, Magnussen got taken out. So Grosjean was just the slowest car left. He just constantly... He jumped up to 9th at the restart and you think, he might score some points. He just dropped back to 12th and he's quite far behind Russell at the end. So Haas are useless. It's a shame, but I don't see them having a happy future in Formula 1. I think they'll be gone. Maybe not next year, but the year after. Alfa Romeo, I mean, Giovinazzi was crashed out. This wasn't his fault this time. But Raikkonen's finally scored points for the year, but it's still not a good year for Alfa Romeo. I think he now ties on points with his teammate, so they have 1 point finish each. I think Grosjean and the 2 Williams drivers are the only drivers with no points. But yeah, Raikkonen again, this wasn't a great race for him. He was lapped and he got back up to where he was because of the restart. That's 3 teams, isn't it? AlphaTauri, Gasly, after winning, it's not going to go any better than that, is it? And it didn't because he crashed out at the second corner. And Kvyat, barely saw him. He had a steady race. He scored points. That's really as good as Kvyat gets nowadays. So this wasn't a bad race for Kvyat, at least. Burgundy cars. Really like it. This was probably my favourite Formula 1 livery in a long time. They're really good looking cars in Burgundy. They should keep it. They're not going to. As for performance, Leclerc he did a great job in qualifying and he did a good job in the race to get up to 3rd. Ferrari just don't have the pace to stay up there. And 8th and 10th is about where they are at the moment. They scored points at least. Vettel again. Did you see anything from Vettel that suggested he's worth signing for Aston Martin? Because I didn't. Really don't understand that one. I would keep Perez at that team at all costs. But, I think Vettel is still 15th or 16th in the Drivers' Championship. He's got another point now, though, so that's something. Racing Point next, I suppose. Stroll, that crash. He was doing really well before that, so it was a shame. Perez, always competent point scorer, especially in these situations. So, about where you expect him. McLaren, Sainz didn't have a great race. He got basically taken out twice. Norris, this wasn't a great race for him. He got 6th place, so he got decent points, but he was kind of just in the midfield, not really closing people down. Don't really know how he ended up back behind Perez, because he did a good job getting past him at one point. Renault, Ocon never showed anything this weekend. It was a shame that he retired when he did. If he had continued, he'd have probably scored points. Ricciardo really looked like he was going to get that podium. Renault don't have a podium since Nick Heidfeld in Malaysia 2011 apparently. So it's been a long, long time. Obviously, when they became Lotus for a few seasons, that was when they did get a few wins and podiums. But the Renault name hasn't had a podium since 2011. So this is their last chance, really, because they'll be Alpine next year. Red Bull. It's a shame Verstappen crashed. It basically ends any chance he had of attempting to win the World Championship. Basically it guarantees Mercedes 1-2 again. Albon, best race of his career. Really happy he finished 3rd. Finally, he gets to be on that podium. Mercedes, same old. Bottas isn't good enough. It's really easy for Hamilton and it's really boring. And it's the problem I have with Hamilton fans. And I did a video about Hamilton a while ago, but I get a lot of comments that are usually the same stupid thing, but you can't separate Hamilton from the Mercedes. The Mercedes is the most dominant car in Formula 1 history now, because it's been 7 years. That means his statistics, there are big numbers and it's very impressive. It's just not that impressive when you're doing it in this kind of fashion, because it's so dominant and so demoralising for everyone else and so unentertaining for the fans, because final race of the year you want championship stakes, and when Rosberg was driving for Mercedes you had that. Rosberg did tend to draw it out to the last race of the year. Bottas can't do that. He's done by the 5th, 6th round. It just means that we go into the last 9 races. Hamilton's basically confirmed champion. Bottas is probably confirmed second, and they've run the constructors. So you've got 9 rounds of who's going to finish third. And Verstappen's pretty much clinched that, so it's actually who's going to finish 4th and who's going to finish 3rd in the constructors title. That's not high stakes entertainment, and it just means the racing has to be entertaining. And we've been very lucky the last 2 weeks to have 2 very entertaining races back to back. But the championship is pretty much settled, and we're just watching 20 cars driven by millionaires going around a track, occasionally driving into each other. And that's it. That can be any formula. I can watch European touring cars, and that's the exact same thing, where it's just people you don't care about driving around, occasionally they collide, and that's your level of excitement. And it tends to be stakes, at least, because they tend to have a championship to go for, because it's not dominated by one person. So it's the same old complaints of Formula 1, but this was a very exciting race, mostly because lots of stuff happened. Who do I think is going to be 15th in the championship? Ooh, it's a tough one. Probably Giovinazzi. That's the highest stakes you're going for in Formula 1 nowadays. We return in 2 weeks, I think. I can't remember what race. So, thank you for watching, think about subscribing, and have a good one.